Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're just off the heels of a really special trophy day. Well, me and Paul were at the game when we filmed a wee vlog for it. So I'm going to put that out soon, so by the time this comes out, it'll already be out. Quite a different experience trying to film the game and we almost got a few goals, but on camera by like a couple of seconds as well. Remember that? It was what was the one? There was one where
I got one. I caught O's second goal. I'm pretty sure because I filmed the free kick. And
you
hit the bar, so we got a goal, which is good. Wonder if Celtic will be pissed off, but we'll find it.
But no, it was. We haven't done one of these in the last few weeks. There's been a lot of football to kind of catch up on, but the performance from Celtic was kind of back to its best, I thought, at the trophy day, and that always seems to be the case with Ange. O looked really sharp, so hopefully Kyogo's fit, but it looked as if he's going to be good to go for the final if we need him. I don't know if there's been any update on Kyogo, if he's...
I don't know, I don't think so. I think as we're talking the noon Wednesday, we're probably looking like Friday before we'll get the usual press conference. But I think it was like a precaution. You could see him moving about pretty freely. I mean, I think it was like an impact. I think he kicked the goalkeeper's like leg or something like that. So with these types of things, it's usually like ice and heat, rest up, and it goes away. So I reckon he'll be good. But I think, before we sum up, I thought O did great when he came on. I thought he looked really sharp. His touch looked good. He was getting into good areas, and he got two goals. So, I thought O was great.
I think that, we talked about this before. Anytime a striker misses some chances, everybody has a tendency to write them off. But I think he has got really good potential for us and offers something different. Celtic definitely looked as if they upped the tempo from... the first sort of 15-20 minutes were kind of slow getting going. But once we got going, it seemed like the goals were just kind of going in and Aberdeen, and you're doing that against a team that have been in really good form in Aberdeen as well, so
yeah,
it bodes well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the first meaningful game since Tynecastle. So as much as I think people don't like, and I don't like this, when you're at a high level and your motivation dips, performances are going to dip. Like, these guys are human beings, they're no robots. Like, seen a lot of chatter on Twitter about like, oh, this is pissing me off, and it's like, it pisses me off as well to watch Celtic get beat. But at the end of the day, my main concern was Inverness Cali Thistle. I think that they showed, in my mind, last Saturday that, we're still there. We didn't just, the players just didn't just disappear. Like, the ability and the team performances and the structure that Ange has instilled in this team didn't just go away because we were playing a bunch of dead rubbers.
Yeah, exactly. It showed they can kind of turn it back on when they need to, and you made a good point. In the last sort of results before this have been a bit sketchy, to say the least. I think when we talked about rotating the squad for the last few games, you obviously you kind of want to rotate the squad and have that same level of performance and results, but that's just not the way football works. And as well, I think that was always the plan, and to see how up to scratch these guys are. You've mentioned a few times when we did the videos about looking at goalies, and I think that the Hibs game was a good example of why we should be looking at goalies.
Yes, I think Scott Bain seems like a nice guy, but oh my god, it was like Neil Lennon's Celtic all over again, like shots straight down his throat or going in the net, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on with this guy? Like, I liked him, I think, like when he first came in under Rodgers, but unfortunately for the guy, he's been found out.
Well, especially with Joe Hart, I'm expecting him to be the number one for next season still, Joe Hart.
I think we might buy a keeper. Yeah. I'm not convinced that Joe Hart's the keeper. Do you know what I mean? Like, for this system, great shot stopper, steady set of hands, but I think like that's been 2 seasons now, and for me he was a stopgap. a very good fucking stopgap, right? Like an amazing stopgap. Like the guy's up there, you know, he's been a world class keeper all his career. But I think surely Andrew's got to be looking at where do we go for here with the goalkeeping, and also add into that the guy's age. Like I don't see as I would like to see us bringing another keeper and the pecking order move down with Bain going out the door, but he just got a 3-year deal, so I don't see that maybe happening.
Well, people seem to rate Segrist as well, but he seems to get injured a lot though, doesn't he?
Well, he's just coming back for injury, isn't he? I think that was his first appearance on the bench.
Or was it?
On Sunday.
Do people seem to think, but I agree, I think that he signed a 4-year deal, so he's still got 2 years left his deal, but
who's that, Segrist?
No, Joe Hart.
Oh, did he? Right, okay.
Because I remember him, I just remember when him and McCarthy came in, they both got 4-year deals, and I was like, why did they both get 4-year deals? But
paydays, isn't it? I suppose if Celtic have got a wage structure that they agree at board level not to break, potentially what you're looking at there is that, look, we can't pay you 50 grand a week, but we'll pay you 25 grand a week. Instead of giving you a 2-year deal, we'll give you a 4-year deal. I think that might be corporate nonsense. Do you know what I mean? And so that if they have to terminate contracts, you're going to get your pay. You know what I mean? And
because it's one of those things where if you're at that age, you're not going to get clubs aren't going to offer you a 4-year deal. Do you know what I mean? But I think he was exactly what the team needed when he came in. Joe Hart, like, and that showed against him as well how the number one thing you need for a goalie is just to be solid. Like, do the basics right. But I think the argument with Joe Hart now is that for Champions League and stuff like that, for us to succeed in Champions League, we need a keeper that can pull off 1 or 2, like, I can't believe he just saved that kind of saves. And I don't know if Joe Hart has that in him. He's really solid for us. He's not put a foot wrong, but in Europe, in those big games, we need those big moments. I don't know if he's going to be able to pull them off anymore.
I mean, I don't think he would be the man for the job after the way that he's been with Celtic in the past. I wouldn't want the guy anywhere near the club, but we do need a Fraser Forster. We need, like you're saying, now, Fraser Forster, he's not the guy with the ball at his feet either. So I'm not saying like go and get Fraser Forster, but we need guys that can pull off saves like he did against Barcelona in 2012, like he did against Lazio in 2019, where you're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And like, how has he kept that out the back of the net? I don't know where we're going to find it, but I'm not football scout, so that's not my job. So I'll leave that up to the people that do that for a living.
That's it. I mean, you'd imagine that if they can find guys like Hugo and Jota, they must be able to find a keeper somewhere. You know what I mean? And it does make a difference when a keeper can kind of pull off. I mean, Ian said something interesting about you're talking about the keeper being involved in. We're talking a lot about goalkeepers here, right? But Ian said something about playing back to the keeper, because somebody asked him a question about the keeper's not being used as much in games, and he was saying how he likes to use the keeper, but the point of using the keeper is to bring the team out. But we're playing against teams that are sitting on the 18-yard line, so it's like there's no point in playing it back to the keeper if nobody's going to press us. So he's basically what he's saying is he's adjusted the system essentially to pass back less because they're sitting so deep.
What's the point? I mean, we've seen that a lot on Saturday. The ball went for Iwata to Starfelt and backwards and forwards along the back four. But I mean, that's interesting that you say that. I didn't see that interview, but now that you said that, I'm thinking that's noticeable actually, because I don't remember Hart having that much of the ball on Saturday. Aberdeen definitely did when you're saying it took us a while to get going. I think Celtic play very, very similarly outside of the dead rubbers at quite a decent pace. I think what teams tend to do, especially at Celtic Park, is park the bus, hope to catch us in the break, but as soon as we go 1-0 up, you know, they need to come out and try and play football. And as soon as Celtic go 1-0 up at Parkhead, you're pretty much like, that's it.
And that just from the efficiency of this team though, because you're like, the moment that you come out of that shape, the speed that we have once we turn it on is so good. And, you know, the last few weeks have been a bit questionable in terms of results and that, but at the end of the day, like, Celtic fans want to see Celtic win, right? But I just think that if the only games we lose are games when we've already won the league, I'll take that every time, man.
Definitely, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Bite your hand off for it. How did you feel? So I think Alistair Johnson definitely, came in at right back. I thought the back four looked way more settled with him at right back. I don't know how much that has to do. I know that Ange plays the inverted fullbacks, but I don't know how much that has to do with Ralston and how he sort of communicates with the rest of the back four. I thought that we looked way more settled, but how did you feel Awata did on Saturday?
The Awata thing's interesting because you kind of wonder whether, because that's sort of the big question going into the final, isn't it? Who's going to be the other centre half? You'd have thought a couple of weeks ago it was nailed on to be Kobayashi.
Mm-hmm.
But based on, assuming that he's not been injured, because I didn't actually hear it about him being injured or that, but I would say based on what Andrew's been doing, it looks as if he's favouring Awata. Awata looks really comfortable, and if we were playing like Aberdeen or a Hearts at hand on Saturday, I'd be a bit more concerned, I think. But I think because M&S are inevitably going to be deep, because they need to be, Awata should be comfortable enough next to Starfelt in the centre half heading. I think he looked good against Aberdeen. We beat them 5-0, and they had the ball, but I don't really remember them having too much clear cut. They didn't get through us that often, which was better than what they did against Hibs, St Mirren and Ibrox. With the key difference, I think, am I right in saying did Kobe actually start all three of those games?
I think Awata started Hibs.
Right.
I might be wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure Kobayashi started at Ibrox. I'm not sure if we've seen him since then.
Yeah, which tells me that Ange wasn't that impressed.
Mm-hmm. He didn't even make the match day squad on Saturday, which to me would tell me that he's injured.
Yeah, you would
Hopefully.
think so.
Uh-huh.
You would think so. You've got to shoot for Stephen Wilshere, but like you're sitting on the bench all season. Everyone Carl Vickers is injured. They need a centre half, and then you can't get yourself fit. It's just a bit. It's just not going to fall for him, is it?
Is Stephen Welsh injured?
I think he's been injured he was injured for a while. He's back.
Right.
He's back in the squad now, but just this last spell, I think it could have been a good chance for him to maybe get in at least.
Oh, 100%.
But I think he's looked composed. I think he's looked, like I said, kind of similar to Beaton, centre half, because obviously Beaton had a while. He was good in the ball, but he was not too great defensively. I don't think Inverness will cause him too many problems, so I would feel comfortable with that. But what you said about Johnston, right, made me think about an interesting point. Do you think that what you said about Joe Hart, about being like a stopgap, Anthony Ralston has been amazing for us the past couple of seasons. He was so important to the first season Ange came in, and then this season he's been great as well. So I'm not criticising him in any way, but he was kind of in a situation where we didn't have a right back, and we had to renew his deal, and we did, and he's been great. But is that a situation now where, because you're saying about how the back four looked more composed with Johnston, there was a significant difference there in terms of the way that the shape of the back four, and I think Johnston's obviously just a higher level of player, and it kind of made you go, is Ralston another one of those examples of, is the gap between him and Johnston just a wee bit too big in terms of, if we want to go on further, is it maybe something we should look at? This guy, I think Ralston's been great, but
my take on that is that I think Ralston proved, I don't know if we need another right back, because I think he proved last year that if we need him in the SPFL, he's up to it. And I don't think we're going to get somebody who's good enough for Europe to come in and understudy. Mm-hmm. So I think what happened with Ralston is, and I think it's, again, as a Celtic fan, I even understand myself. I get a wee bit trigger happy when it comes to a player. But when it comes with Anthony Ralston, he's not played pretty much all season. It's either been Juranovic and then they replaced him with Johnson. So he's went 3 quarters maybe more, 90% of the season through, barely kicked a ball, had an injury problem as well earlier on in the season, and then he's thrown into a team. It's going to take you a game or two, I'd say. Like, we only seen him for maybe 2 games, did we? 3 games. The guy's not even getting a chance to get warmed up and get settled into a team. Also, add into that 3 of the back 4 had been displaced for that period of time. Greg Taylor was injured, Cameron Carter-Vickers is injured, and Alistair Johnson's injured. I don't think it's fair to judge any of them on that. Even Kobayashi, I don't think it's fair to judge them. Like, when you if we split the park up into the sections, that would be like changing 10 or 9 of your outfield players and then going, I expect a result, I expect a performance. It's hard. That's a hard thing to take. So I think as long as Ralston's happy to sit as an understudy, I think he'll stay. I don't think we'll get another right back. I think he's good enough for that backup.
I would agree with that. I think overall, like, it's as well though, you're not going to get, many players that are going to, because Ange talks a lot about how he always mentions like Alexa Ralston and Stephen Welsh when it comes to training every day, about how they add to the session and the intensity of the competition for places and stuff like that. And it's hard to find good squad players these days that are happy not to play every week, but will commit to the training every day. And that seems a little bit part of Ange's philosophy is that every time he talks about winning the title, he doesn't talk about the 11 players he was playing, he talks about the whole group, the players that weren't on the bench, and he's talked about Ralston before as well. So I do think that the big thing for me, for Ralston, is he's really committed, and he probably at a point of his career where he knows this is his height, and he's working hard every day. I don't think you're going to get many right backs you can go and get that are going to be happy to miss out on, the majority of the games.
100%. I mean, how old is Ralston?
He must be like 27, 28 now. No?
You think he's that old?
I think it feels like, I could be well off of that, but it feels like that.
Let's have a wee look.
Just because it feels like he's been about it forever, man. Maybe a wee bit younger.
He's 24, right?
Is he?
So this is what I was going to say.
Fair enough.
Ralston could potentially be Callum McGregor under Rodgers at this point. Like, McGregor was not a shoe in every game. We had more midfielders at the time. Like, obviously we had Scott Brown, who was one of the first names on the team sheet, but we even had guys like Stuart Armstrong, Beaton, guys that were in about Tom Rogic starting games. And McGregor didn't start every single game. He wasn't like a pure. He did well. Obviously, it's different when you're vying for like 3. There's like 3 central midfielders in that team versus 1 right back. But Ralston could well be 26, 27 and the main man in that Celtic team. I don't. But again, he could 100% go to Hibs, Hearts, anybody outside of Celtic and Rangers, and walk into their team. So it might be hard to keep him interested and keep him at the club. But if I was me and you're both Celtic fans, if I had come through to Celtic, I think I'd be like, I'll just stay, fuck it. Like, do you know what I mean? Do it all day. Suppose that's maybe goes against my own personal attitude. Would I rather, be a second choice at Celtic and win championships, or go and be a first choice at Hibs and fight relegation, potentially? I don't think that's outside the wildest imagination.
His fans watching this like, what are you talking about?
Well, I think any team outside of the Celtic and Rangers could end up in a relegation dogfight.
Didn't either good example.
Kilmarnock.
Aye.
Kilmarnock, they were tipped to be further up the table. Derek McInnes in charge. They're fighting relegation.
It wasn't long ago they were third, do you know what I mean? It was like
100%. So, aye, man. I think so. On that, I think the team that we've seen on Saturday will be the team that starts this Saturday. I think my prediction would be Hart, Starfelt, Iwata, Taylor, Ralston, McGregor, O'Reilly, and Hatate in the middle with Jota and who played out on the right, Abada and Kyogo through the middle.
So you think Ralston was that ahead of?
No, Johnson.
Right, so Johnson. So what I would say is, do you not think that? Oh, what was I going to say with this? See, in terms of the actual I still think he'll go with Mida. I still think he'll play Mida ahead of Abada.
Oh, I'm forgetting that Maida was suspended.
Aye.
Right.
Mida.
Of course, I was thinking that he was injured for some reason, just seen him in my mind in his tracksuit. Oh, I think, Maida's his boy. He signed I mean, you could say he signed Abada. Abada's a club signing for me, like I don't think Ange came out for Japan and went, I know this guy in Israel. You're like, Maida's one of these guys that he went and he got purposely, knew in his head, played for him at Marinos. So I think, I'm with you, mate. Sorry, I think he'll definitely start with Maida on the left and Jota on the right.
No,
that's a hard one for me because Jota's so good on the left.
I do. There's a part of me that thinks Mida's style is to kind of use his pace and run behind, and I don't know if there's going to be much of that on Saturday. I mean, so speaking about the final and the game itself, right? Inverness have had a pretty decent season. Obviously, they're not getting promoted, but they've done well. They beat 2 Premiership teams to get here in the first place. And then Billy Dawes was talking about how he wants to go out and give Celtic he wants to go out and...
Of course he does,
Aye, but...
Forgetting Billy Dodds,
Aye, but I think that the plot, like, see if he means that and they actually do what I come out and get after this. That'll be interesting to see because they won't be able to do that for 90 minutes, obviously. And I think it's a case of if you do that, you need to score. But I do think that those we talked about this about a month ago, I think, about the fear of the final against Inverness, and those Super Cali Go Ballistic Celtic Atrocious headlines are running through my head 24/7 leading up to Saturday, and it's honestly the last team I would have wanted to play in a final. I don't like him. I don't like the history of playing Inverness. There's so many. I mean, I was at the semi-final under Dela with the handball, and they obviously put us out that day. And it's like every time that I've seen, there was also that game under Lennon. I think we had to. There was 2 games left of the season. If we won that and won the last one,
we went to Inverness. I think Rangers had dropped points, and I think if we had won at Inverness, it was in our hands, but we drew.
Aye.
And it went back over to Rangers. Like they had
Johnny Hayes
control.
scored a screamer. I don't know why that was short in my head, but that day Johnny Hayes scored like a 25-yard screamer, man.
For Inverness.
Aye. But no, so...
They've been a bogey team for Celtic many times since the 99, when that was the first time. I think they were maybe in the 2nd division and they beat us at Parkhead, and when John Barnes got sacked or walked away or whatever happened there. But since that day, they've been a bogey team for Celtic. Put us at the cup a few times. They've beat us in the league a couple of times. They've got a draw at us and took a title away from us. So I think my usual worry, if this was Neil Lennon, my worry would be arrogance. His arrogance will beat them. They're a championship team. Turn up and win. I don't see that happening under Ange. I don't see it happening with a lot of these players. I don't think they've been involved in any games against Inverness. They don't know the historical implications. I'm sure that they've heard about it, but I think for me, Andrew's going to have that team ready to go. They're going to want to win. If we score, I think we'll win it quite comfortably.
There's he spoke about how in his press conference he was saying that we need to play our absolute best to win this. And I think that he's the kind of manager that will remind the players how hard it is to get one game away from a treble. If you in essence, if their goal at the start of the season, they wouldn't have said this, but if their goal in their minds was, let's go out and win the lot, and then you get to the last hurdle to get that accomplished. I think he's the kind of manager that would drilling that into them. Like, you need to be on it. Treat them like Real Madrid. Basically.
It's exactly what I was going to say. We need to go out there and play Inverness Califas on Saturday like we're playing against Real Madrid at Hampden. There's no other way to look at it. There's no other way to go about your business. If you don't do that, you run the risk of letting a treble slip through your fingers, And like you said, if they started at the start of this season, you said we'll be back, we'll be bigger, we'll be stronger. If we don't win on Saturday, then that hasn't been realised. It's the same as last season. It's no better. It'll just be interesting, I suppose, if we do win. We'll talk a lot about this, I'm sure, before. But how do we better it next season? Like, what do we do next season?
Need to be invisible in the league, mate.
Aye, well, that's hard in itself. What do you think for a scoreline? So we've spoke about our starting 11s. I mean, there's absolutely no doubt Inverness will go built for this.
Yeah.
This is the game of their life. We spoke about this on Saturday at Celtic Park. For a lot of these players, this isn't just a Scottish Cup final. This is like their career. This is their whole career peaking. If they can beat Celtic in a cup final, win Inverness Cali, a Scottish Cup, it's legendary status at the club straight away. So they're going to build for it, man. Like they're going to come out. They're going to try and do everything they can to stop us. So, what's your scoreline?
100%. I think that everything, like this game, as much as it means everything to Celtic as well, but I think these players for Inverness know that it can change their life individually as well. If they score the winner, they could get moved to somewhere next season all of a sudden because everyone's watching. I mean, maybe less people now because of that kick-off time nonsense, but I would say, I think that, as crazy as this is, I think Inverness will score.
Right.
Because I was looking at their kind of goal threats, I feel like, and Billy Mackay has had a really good season for them. And this is a bit of a strange reason to feed a player, right? But I used to play Football Manager all the time.
Right.
And he, honestly, mate, every single season was like the top goal scorer in the SPFL. He was just always great. So like in my head, Billy Mackay is like a pure major threat, right? But I just think that if you are somebody like Billy Mackay or any of the attacking players, you've kind of got to look at Celtic back forward and think, and maybe fancy it a wee bit based on the games before Aberdeen. Carl Vickers isn't there. You got a midfielder playing centre half. Like you may as well. I'd imagine if they've got any sort of game plan, the game plan's going to be target Iwata. That's like that would be my game plan. So they're going to be physical. They're going to play the ball long. It just depends on how quickly we can get the ball down and play. But if we go and play our best, we'll hammer them, mate. I think probably, to be kind, I'm going to go with 3-1. I'll go 3-1.
Okay.
3-1, maybe 4-1. I mean, obviously it'd be nice if we just romp it.
Yeah.
But every single treble Celtic I've ever won that I've seen, there's always just been a little bit. There's just a little bit of a moment you go, fuck. Like I mean, even Tom Rogic 2-1. Obviously, did Aberdeen not take the lead that day?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the one that Edgar scored that double against Hearts, it was very tight when it was. So I don't expect us. I think because Inverness are going to be fighting so hard, I don't see us going and completely rolling them over. As much as I'd like that to happen, I do think Inverness will put up a fight, and I'm going 3-1.
You're going 3-1. Okay.
I went 3-0 on Saturday. Get a couple more than that. So if I'm saying 3-1, it's actually 5-1. I'll take that.
You'll take that. I think. I mean that I've not watched any Inverness Cali, so I don't keep up with Scottish Championship football. So I'll take what you've said on board, but I think 3-0. I think we'll be comfortable. I think, like you said, if we can get the ball down, if we can play football, if we get an early goal, all bets are off. So that's what I think will happen. I think we'll come out highly motivated for this, and I think we'll, I hate to be like one of the people that don't jinx it or whatever like that. I've got a feeling that we're going to come out comfortable winners on Saturday night. No, listen,
I do agree. I'm just, there's a bit of me that's like, it's one of the, it feels a bit too obvious. It feels a bit too like, what's the word?
Not Celtic.
Easy, aye.
Not the Celtic way to go out and win a treble 5-0.
I just feel like there's going to be a twist somewhere in that. like a penalty or something.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man. I hope it does not go to penalties because we are shocking outside that. I mean, who's scored a few penalties, but no, I don't fancy. Celtic
That would be horrendous. That would be horrendous. See if it goes to penalties, man. I would struggle to watch it. I would really struggle to watch it.
Yeah, need to do one of them. Look away. Just wait for the cheers.
Oh, that's terrible. It's honestly terrible. But no, I think that we'll be ready to go, and it's exciting to get to the end of the season. I mean, it's just good. If you'd offered us a Scottish Cup final against Inverness at the start of the season, you would have taken it big time. And then, I mean, we've just come in to film this, and Twitter's going mental, but Andrew at the Spurs, so maybe by the time we speak again, we'll be having a whole different conversation, man.
Absolutely, but we'll keep that until it's no rumours on Twitter.
We'll keep it, but I'm just saying, listen, Andrew, if you watch these, mate, please stay. Please stay, because I don't want Brendan Rodgers back. That's all I'm going to say about that. But no, I think it's going to be an exciting weekend, and hopefully we get similar scenes as Flag Day with a little bit less madness in the town. But also, before I forget, we should actually mention, because we didn't get to mention in the vlog, that see at Celtic Park, that was a joke, wasn't it? The lift broke down.
Oh yes, aye. The smoke bombs at Celtic Park made the lifts malfunction, and the full disabled section get kept in the stadium for an hour after, not after the final whistle, an hour after the celebrations.
Aye, it was a nightmare because the whole stadium went to, and do you know what was mad? Right, is the players were on the pitch and that with their families and stuff, and I was saying to the people, like, do you know what, to try and do something here? Are we just supposed to sit here and wait for an hour until you're like, is there any plan here, or are we just hoping that something happens? And they're all kind of looking at me like, we don't know what's going on. So it was a bit of a cluster. And you know what's funny is I was feeling a bit rough that day, right? And we had to go through the hospitality bit. And this guy pops up to me and he goes, he works there, I think, and he goes, you're not supposed to be here. This is for, basically what he's saying is this is for the people that have money. You're not supposed to be here. And I'm like, excuse me, I might have a rough beard, but I'm just trying to get down to the ground here, man.
Can I get out? Can you let out,
please? I'm like that. Look, I'm just trying to get to the stadium. But no, I think one of the things that really I wanted to mention about this, that really bugged me about it, was like, one of the people said to me that worked there was saying that's happened before on Trophy Day.
Right.
Because of the
flares and smoke bombs and stuff.
So I was like, if that's happened before, surely you can't just allow that to happen again. Like, there's got to be. So people keep, like, every time, I know accessibility is a bit of a different topic, right? So we won't go too far into it, right? But every time I mention something about a new lift like that at Parkhead, they always go on about how it's, obviously it takes a lot to restructure everything, and I get that, because it would take a lot of work to do that. But see, even if you can't do that with a lift, why not put in a stair lift? You know how, like, those stair lifts you get, where it's just like a flat surface and you can put a chair on it and you press a button and it goes up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a out and out lift, it's just like attached to the stairs.
Yeah, I think putting disabled people at a section of the stadium that's got one lift. I mean, how many people? 40, 50 people in chairs sitting in that section, one lift.
And it's a shambles up there, no, because you don't even get like a
designated area or a seat or anything. It is shambolic, mate. The facilities are shambolic, but I think, like you said, more work would need to actually be done on the stadium rather than just that one bit. But I'm sure that the club would listen to any suggestions that you've got,
Well, hopefully the more that we talk about football and my vlog and stuff, and we can bring this more to the attention and then get in conversation with Celtic about it, because I think it's something that, just as the season's coming to a close, you're like, I hope somebody inside Celtic's thinking about that, knows about that experience, and knows, like, we need to try and do something to progress this. Otherwise, if you just constantly say it's too hard to do anything about it, nothing's going to get
Nothing
done.
will get done.
So
100%, mate.
hopefully, somebody's a bit more proactive about it. But I'd say it's been a pretty fun season so far.
Yep.
And if we can end it with a treble and Andrew's the manager, then I'll be pretty happy with that. I would say. I'll be pretty happy with that. Any final thoughts, Paul?
Well, just hope that we get the result that we're looking for on Saturday. We'll have a party, and then hopefully we can keep a hold of Ange and we're only crying into our cereal when it comes to whatever news we get for this Tottenham malarkey.
Aye. Well, we often do. There's been a lot of fun times in that. We often do like when I stop doing the podcast for a wee bit and I come back, I normally do like a weekend of like personal sort of catch up thing. And we've been doing sort of football stuff, which has been a lot of fun. But the past sort of like couple of weeks, I've been kind of on a hiatus, if you like. And I just want to say that the content, we're going to be getting the content regularly through the summer and stuff, and I want to keep it going. And normally when I've went away for a bit, it's usually 2 or 3 months, so we're doing better than that.
It's only been a couple of weeks.
It's been a couple of weeks. There's been some things that have happened that I didn't kind of see coming, and I've been dealing with some things, but I'm definitely excited about what we're doing, and I'm glad even just having these wee conversations, I find them quite enjoyable. Just talking about football and that, and so next season we'll have loads of vlogging opportunities and loads of different things to talk about, because I'm sure there'll be hundreds of twists and turns and stuff like that. With Bill being gone by Christmas and all that stuff like that. So I just want to take it. I know people have been messaging me and stuff, and like because we were on a good wee roll there, but I'm still here. We're still here, and we've got good plans coming up for the summer and stuff like that. So like podcast guests will be coming back. We've got a few good ones booked, but I won't say until they actually are in front of me. But yeah, no, I just wanted to let everyone know that the podcast is going to continue, and we have good plans to go ahead. So on that note, hopefully next time we're talking, it'll be a treble on me.